It is a glorious, glorious day. Humans of the cardboard. Welcome back to Just Nuts, guys. We had 15 cards left to get revealed for Photon Hypernova. We got one of them here, but it's a big one, especially for me and probably a lot of the people that are fans of the channel. Labyrinth is one of my favorite archetypes, especially one of my new favorite archetypes. And they are getting a new card here. The one card they got in Darkwing Blast was really nice. This card appears to be the same. It's a new trap card. I know trap decks are lagging behind, but I do still believe they can be good rogue options depending on the format, and I think this deck's no exception there. Let's get into it. There's also a little bit of live. We'll go through some funny live twin reveals at the end as well, but yeah, let's get looking at it. This is Big Welcome Labyrinth, okay? It's a normal trap card. Really important to keep in mind, this has Welcome Labyrinth in the name. We'll talk about how that's kind of weird, kind of funny in a sec with synergy. But yeah, this is a normal trap. You can only use one of its two effects once per turn and only once that turn. So you cannot do both in the same turn, but you can, you know, obviously get some bonus, you know, utility later on in the duel, which is cool. So the first effect reads, special summon one Labyrinth monster from your hand, deck, or graveyard. Then return one monster you control to the hand. Cool. And the second effect, you can banish this card from your graveyard, then target a fiend monster you control, return it to the hand. If you control level 8 or higher fiend monster at activation, you can target a card your opponent controls instead. So some really, really cool things going on here. What I like here is this is an additional starter card in a sense. It does get you into your engine. It is not quite as clean as it could be, right? You are going to be forced to bounce something to your hand, which may just be the monster you summon. But to be fair, if depending on what you're summoning, it may not really matter that much, and you still may be getting into your engine. Anyway, so still cool. Still gives us access to either Ariana, Silver Castle, or Lady of the Labyrinth. Those to me are the three biggest targets here that you would be going for, because if you're summoning out, where is she at? Ariana, she's going to get bounced back to hand. If you didn't already control something else and you didn't care about like needing to resolve Ariana, then you would go ahead and do then bounce a card. So what's also really cool is because the bounce is part of this effect, this is not only a normal trap that by itself is getting you to one of your monsters, but it's also summoning you out, or it's also removing a monster. So if you already had a monster on field, you would be able to like summon Ariana, summon Silver Castle, bounce something else, and then you would still be able to trigger their effects immediately, which is really cool because you've removed the monster from the field. So you could either search or draw off Ariana. You'd have to pick one, but you would get to, and then you'd also either be able to hand rip a card out of your opponent's hand, or, that's not the right one, this one, or pop a card on their field, non-targeting. And then even if you don't control a monster, you just hard draw this card, you could still summon Lady Labyrinth of the Silver Castle, and then she gets bounced to the hand immediately. Right? But because a Labyrinth card was activated, or actually a normal trap was activated this turn, she can just summon herself from hand immediately on the opponent's turn anyway. And if you have any other good normal trap, she's going to be able to get you more advantage. She's going to get you back into more cards, and it's pretty cool. One other thing to note as far as that first effect goes is you could, well, a couple things. You could search the small ones as well because they're going to field, and then you could bounce them, and if you have any good discard stuff in hand, they're live to get you a set on the opponent's turn. So that's something, although I think there'll be a debate on whether or not we need to play the little guys anymore because this is another consistency booster. And the other thing here is Labyrinth. So this is the field spell in the deck. This card gives the additional like ability to destroy a card when you activate a set Welcome Labyrinth trap. That was one of the weird things whenever I read this effect. I was like, Welcome Labyrinth. So is there going to be other Welcome Labyrinth cards? There already was a weird one. I think Fair Welcome Labyrinth is the battle phase one. But this is another card that has Welcome Labyrinth in the name. So if you have this and the new trap, you're not only summoning from deck, returning a monster, which is like triggering your other effects, but you're also popping a card on the field, which is really, really solid, all things considered. The last thing I'll say here for the first effect is this. Ariana is now a 1-card interruption, because if you go normal summon Ariana, search this new trap. set the, let's just assume we don't have access to the field spell, right? If we had access to the field spell, we might just go for the other one instead because it doesn't force us to bounce stuff. Kind of lose a little bit of board presence, stuff like that. If we search the new one, you set it. Now when you activate it on the opponent's turn, you summon Lovely Labyrinth of the Silver Castle, and then you bounce the Ariana. That will trigger the Silver Castle because a monster was removed while she was on the field because of the way it's worded, and Silver Castle will get to pop either from your opponent's hand or field. It's very, very cool. I like that we actually have a 1-card interruption now. If you hard draw this, it's not necessarily an interruption unless you put a monster on field first, but that's not the hardest thing to do. For sure, and I will definitely take that, you know, and, you know, 9 times out of 10. As far as the second effect goes, really cool. Keep in mind, this is a trap card, so even in grave, I believe it is still a quick effect. And this does not even have to be fired on your turn. You could leave this in grave and just say, you know what, it's just another interruption. It's just another interruption on the opponent's turn. It's just a bounce if I can get myself to a level 8 or higher fiend. Which, by the way, are super easily accessible now because of the new Lady of the Labyrinth and Silver Castle, of course, which is very, very cool. Even if you have to bounce your own monster. I mean, what if you just have an Ariana on field and you're just like, let me bounce Ariana, let me normal summon Ariana to get a search into more of my engine stuff. I'll get the actual Welcome Labyrinth. I'll get both of these kind of in rotation. Regular Welcome Labyrinth could summon at an 8, and then this card's bounce effect is live on the opponent's turn, right? You just, it really does feel good. The one thing I could liken this to the most is kind of like Dinomorphia, which is the other premier trap deck we got earlier this year. I don't think it has great matchups right now in the meta, but I do think it'll be a rogue deck in the future at some point. I think Rexterm's too crazy, but what I want to focus on is when they got their support in the next set after their first wave of support, they got a second normal trap card that just was a 1-card play. That's kind of what we're looking at here, is a 1-card engine starter with this card. And so when we look at where we're at, you know, Dinomorphia, one of their problems was a little bit of consistency. You kind of had to open one of their 9 starters, and that forced you to also play Fossil Dig, which most variants don't play now because it's a little bit suboptimal. Kind of same thing here. I mean, really, we have the 6 main starters, just Welcome Labyrinth and Ariana. If you don't know, if you can't get to one of those, you're kind of like, you kind of have to start playing more and more names of the Chandraglier as well as the Stovey, and now we don't have to lean on those quite as much. So I do think you can lean off those a little bit. Maybe people will still play 1 or 2 just because they are really good cards to get in rotation, and they just get you continual advantage over the course of the duel, which is quite good. But yeah, all in all, a really solid card. A lot of really cool synergy. I don't know. I mean, it's good. There's not, I mean, I really do think it's a good card. I think it really has those parallels with Dinomorphia. I do think the deck felt like sometimes, if it's definitely one of those decks, if you can't find your engine, you lose. I mean, that's kind of the theory for like any deck, no matter how consistent it is. If you don't find the engine, you lose. But this definitely helps out a big bunch. I like it. I like it a lot. So yeah, that's where we're at there. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this card. Please throw it down there in the comments section down below. Real quick before we go, I'll throw this at you. We've kind of learned that the Selection Pack 5 looked really interesting. Oh, Striker support, Train support, stuff like that. Not so much. Dragon Maid support. We got a new card. It's called Lilla Wrap. It does not have Live Twin in the name, so it's not super searchable by other cards, but it's a continuous spell. You can only activate its effect once per chain. Once per chain. That's actually kind of crazy. Once per turn, if you special summon a monster from the graveyard, you can make your opponent lose 1,000 life points, and if they do, you gain 500 life points. So it seems to be like a non-searchable burn card, and it's once per chain, which is actually kind of crazy. So if you can somehow loop special summons from grave, you can kind of just win the duel. But yeah, it's not searchable, so, or I don't think it's searchable, so yeah, good luck. We also get the new artwork. I'm sure some people will be over the moon for this artwork whenever we finally get it imported. But yeah, that's pretty much it for that. Unfortunately, Selection 5, I thought it was going to be a really cool set where we actually got like a cool new card or two for all these archetypes that people were really big fans of. not the case. None of them actually have synergy with their own archetypes, really. So whatever, or they're just like not searchable. They're not like real engine cards. But yeah, there you go. Sorry, I got really hyped for Selection Pack 5. It didn't turn out the right way, but it is what it is. But for Labyrinth, definitely let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section there. I will keep you updated. Keep in mind, we have not seen a new Runic card. We've seen a Valence card. We've seen a Labyrinth card in this set. It kind of seems like we're due for one more Runic card. We'll see what it is. Runic is definitely the most competitive of the three, so they seem like they've been leaning off giving them good support so far. Frecky kind of a little bit mediocre. But we'll see. I'll keep you updated on anything. 14 more cards in the set over the next 4 days, probably. Let's get it. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.